So to get started, we'll be kicking off today with Mike Folk. He was a previous CEO of the HDF Group and is currently our interim CEO. Mike?
Thank you, Lori. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Can you see my slide?
Yep.
Okay, great. So welcome to the 2020 HDF User Group meeting. I want to thank you all for taking the time to be with us today. As a member of the HDF Group since 1988, I'm just thrilled to see so much continuing interest in HDF technologies. Before we get started, I want to express my sincere appreciation to the people who've made this event possible. First and foremost, Lori did all the web work, a lot of the wrangling, and she's of course still at it, as you saw. Elena Pormal, Dax Rodriguez, Quincy Koziol, and Suren Bina have done a really nice job putting together an impressive lineup of speakers. Suren and Quincy are from Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. Many of you probably know that, which is co-sponsoring the event and was committed to hosting the event before the world turns upside down last March. And we greatly appreciate their commitment. Maybe next time we'll be able to do it on their ground. We have a full agenda. Yesterday we kicked off the meeting with a slate of excellent and well-attended tutorials. It was just amazing to see all the people who were there. Today we're going to focus more on HDF itself and give you some insights into where HDF technologies are headed. There are also talks on HDF5 and HSDS applications. And we'll wind up with an HDF roundtable discussion. Please do submit your comments and questions to the roundtable. Tomorrow morning, we will focus more on applications of HDF5, and in the afternoon on the very important virtual object abstraction layer for HDF5. And then Friday, we'll wrap up with a look at more contributions from the community, including some that really improve the usability of HDF, as well as some really interesting applications. So with that, I don't think I need to take up much more of your time, and I need to get out of the way of the next speaker, which is me. So a very warm welcome to all of you. And with that, I introduce myself. Hi, I'm Mike. And I am going to go to the next slide. This talk was supposed to be about the HDF Group business model. When I agreed to give this talk, I didn't realize that I'd have only 10 minutes. I think it's really hard to understand our business model without knowing more about who we are as a group and as a company. So I've taken the liberty to use my 10 minutes to focus more on that. Excuse me. So I want to thank Dax for helping me think about how to approach this and preparing the few slides that I'll be using. Let's start with who we are. What is the HDF Group? Well, we're a nonprofit organization. We're the creators and the official maintainers of the HDF technology. This slide, thank you, Dax, for making this, illustrates really the four most important pillars that the HDF Group stands on. The mission is, of course, the foundation for it all. The HDF Group was created in 1988 to solve big data problems at the National Center for Supercomputing Applications at the University of Illinois. HDF became popular then because NCSA produced a really popular suite of desktop visualization applications that used HDF. So you had to get your data in HDF in order to use these applications. But pretty soon people realized the general value of HDF for managing big data, scientific data especially. And by the mid-90s, it had become quite widely adopted, including being the format of choice for NASA's Earth observing system. It was working with the NASA folks at that time that we realized that people were dependent on HDF, not just for mission critical applications, but that they were also putting data into HDF that was expected to be available for a very long time. As a result, we started to ask ourselves, how can we make sure that our technology is sustainable? And that really led to our spinoff from the University of Illinois as a nonprofit company in 2006. So if you look at the longer version of our mission, it starts out with the statement, the HDF Group's mission is to ensure the sustainable development of open source HDF technologies and the ongoing accessibility of HDF stored data. Now there's more to the mission than that, but that's what I want to focus on here. So when we talk about our business model, sustainability is a very important part of that. The second and equally important pillar, obviously, is our community. The community really, which is you, is the reason that we exist. Our users, as well as our contributors, come from academia, research, government, the commercial sector, pretty much everywhere where there's data. Anyone who wants to manage and access big data, manage fast I/O on big computers, work with complex heterogeneous data, or even just share data across different platforms is a clear candidate for HDF. And we'll see a lot of examples of these at the meetings in the next 3 days. But our community actually serves us at the HDF Group as much as we serve them. We depend on the community to continuously improve our technologies. We saw some great examples of this in yesterday's tutorials, some really good stuff that's been happening with some very clever folks. And we're going to see more of that in the next 3 days. The next component is what we make. You probably wouldn't be here if you didn't have some idea of what we make. And of course, you'll learn more about it over the next few days. Our flagship technology, as everybody knows, is the HDF library and the various tools for working with HDF data. But we also feel, and we have for several years now, that coming generations are more about data services and not just data files. So we're putting more and more emphasis in our highly scalable data service, our HSDS. And you'll learn more about that today from John Reedy and some other talks. The software model, I think everybody knows this, but it bears repeating, is open source and free. And our licenses are permissive. The HDF5 has a BSD style open source license, and HSDS is covered under Apache 2.0. So, we do our best to make sure that this software is available to everyone for free, the basic software. Finally, our services, how we pay our bills. This is what was supposed to be what the talk was supposed to be about, and I'll summarize that here with a little bit with another slide. We've been self-supporting for over 30 years now. So it's not like we don't have, we haven't figured out a way to pay the bills so far, but we have to worry every day about how well we'll be able to remain in business for the long term. We've tried out a number of different things. Some we failed at, some we've been successful with, and we're going to keep doing that, but always keeping in mind that our core software must remain open source and free. So if you visit our web pages, you'll see that we offer a number of things aimed at providing services for the community and at the same time providing revenue that will help sustain our company. HDF5 Enterprise Support is a yearly subscription for organizations that rely on HDF5. The biggest component of our revenues and our work come from HDF Consulting and software development. Right now, that's where most of our funding comes from. We help groups, companies, and others with specific needs, organizations. We do a lot of work for the DOE labs and for NASA, things like tuning software to get the best I/O performance and scalability. We help people figure out how to best use HDF5 or HSDS for their particular applications and their particular needs. We also spend a lot of effort here, and a lot of our funding goes towards implementing improvements and extensions to HDF5, and we are so grateful for those organizations that are able to fund this work, because it not only helps keep us, sustain ourselves, but it also helps make everything that we do better. Finally, if you go to our website, you'll see something called KETA. KETA is a concept that we're still trying to get a handle on and still trying to develop, but it basically refers to HDF cloud services for HSDS. KETA includes support and consulting services like installing and customizing HSDS on your existing infrastructure. KETA Lab is a Jupyter Lab enabled data exploration tool that's hosted by the HDF group, where you can learn about HSDS and you can build your own cloud environment. And then KETA Server for AWS Marketplace makes it possible to migrate data into the cloud through the marketplace. Really, all of these are kind of experimental, and we welcome your feedback and your advice on that. We're actually on the marketplace. We're working with Microsoft right now to create a similar implementation for Azure. So that's a brief review of our business model and who we are. And with that, I think we're ready to move on to the next speaker. Let's see.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Lori.
I didn't see anything in the chat for you, but we have a couple opportunities later on today for that as well.